Hey guys, Bartell's Bookshelf here. I was going through the footage for this week and I realized I didn't really introduce anything. So I'm just giving this quick little intro, explaining, so the third week started. We went to Morrison's, and at Morrison's there was a little free library. And I looked around, not really expecting to find anything, but I did find this book, which is where this vlog will start. Hope you guys enjoy, and I will be back with the rest of the vlog soon. I know it's taken me a while to edit all of them, but still, I hope you guys enjoy watching, despite the fact that Christmas is weeks away now. But regardless, here you go. I found this at a little free library. It's the 5th Fontana book of great ghost stories. I've been looking for these. These were on my list, so I never expected to find one on a random free library shelf. So really happy to have that. So yeah, just enjoy some of our walk home from Morrison's. We used to cut through, these are the backfields. We actually used to cut through a big swath of this to get home even quicker, but there's a bunch of houses built there now. But still, enjoy some of this atmospheric footage. Alright, well look, no place is perfect. And we just settled into the evening for the rest of the day. And later on we decided to go for a late night walk around town, just enjoying some of the lights. You can see, very pretty. Alright, so it's Tuesday morning, and I'm on my way to the train station to go see Sheffield for the day. Gonna look at some bookshops and hopefully enjoy myself. I'll be alone, unfortunately. Aaron's not coming with me.
Yeah.
He has better things to do, I guess.
Let's sit in a warm room all day and chill.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna be spending the day in Sheffield, so I expect to get lots of footage, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys when I'm there. Bye! So yeah, just enjoy my journey to Sheffield. It was actually really nice sitting on the train. This was the longest train ride I'd been on. It took about 45-50 minutes to get to Sheffield, and it was actually really nice, really pleasant. The train was clean, quiet. I actually got quite a bit of reading done, which was nice. So yeah, I really enjoyed this trip. I kind of wanted to take another train ride just to enjoy the ride itself, but Made it to the station all right. You can see some of what that looks like. was quite a big station, obviously, because, it's a big city, 500,000 people. So, this big glass tunnel leading to the main area. You can see it looks more like an airport, doesn't it? Big Christmas tree there and stuff. W.H. Smith's. Didn't even catch that. Should have gone in to look. And here's the front. Again, you can see just how massive this is. I mean, it's not quite King's Cross, but, it's getting there. And here's this weird little fish sculpture that I just thought was interesting. So, first I was making my way to this place called Porter Bookshop. This was the main reason I wanted to come to Sheffield. I found this Googling a bunch of stuff about local bookshops in Sheffield, and it looked really cool and interesting. I was going to take the bus, but I couldn't figure out how the buses worked. I got really confused, so I was like, whatever, I'll just walk there. It was a bit of a long walk. My feet were hurting by the end of it, but I got to see a lot of interesting stuff, some of which I'll show you. At one point, I had to go through this car park to get to where I was going, and there was this big church there. Don't know anything about it, just looked interesting. And down through this little walking area that goes underneath the road. Don't have many of these where I live. This strange Chinese fireworks company building. Don't know if they actually make fireworks, but some interesting graffiti as usual. And here's this park that I passed by with, looked very beautiful, very lush and green, but it had this weird little gnarled sort of tree thing. This sort of knot of wood, little play area for kids, I assume, and I just thought that was interesting. And I actually ended up passing by the Sheffield General Cemetery, which I didn't take a lot of time going into because I was trying to get somewhere, but I went in and just looked around a bit. You can see the chapel here, and there was a big tomb off to the side that I thought was, very pretty. Finally, here's the bookshop, Porter Bookshop. It was a lot smaller than I expected it to be. It was literally just this little corner. But the cool thing about it, as you can see, was that it was piled high with books. I mean, wall to wall, they were spilling out into the walkways, which is my favorite type of bookshop. A lot to look around, a lot to choose from. They had whole sections dedicated, they had a manga section here. They had sections dedicated to history and crime and classics. But what I was interested in was the horror section, and to my delight, they had a whole shelf full of horror. Unfortunately, a lot of it was pretty expensive. They knew what they had, but still, I was happy to see it. And then I decided to make my way to the Oxfam, because, I always enjoy a good Oxfam bookstore. Haven't been to one on this trip yet. And on the way, I got to see a lot more really pretty sights, including this little walkway, which I believe was known as the Frog Walk. And it was literally just this, really narrow footpath that you could walk through that took you through a bunch of greenery, and it took you by the river and everything. It was really, really peaceful, really lovely. I wish we had something like this near where I live, but whatever. Sheffield is a university town, and here's one of the schools that I passed. I believe this was for anatomy or athletics, sports medicine, something sports related. I can't remember exactly. Another old church for you to see as I was making my way to the Oxfam. Again, I don't really do a lot of research on these churches or these, buildings. A lot of them aren't churches anymore, but I just think they look cool. I love old architecture, so, and some birds passing overhead. Another footpath that went underneath the road to walk through. Very nice. Got some atmospheric shots. And that came out into this tiny little neighborhood. I think this was mostly like housing accommodation, maybe, something like that, but it was like this little pocket neighborhood with these really green lawns and everything. It was actually really nice and peaceful. Some more interesting buildings. I believe the one on the left was a primary school. And then I ended up stopping at this little cafe in a church. It was the home of the church army, apparently, called the Wilson Carlisle Center. And yeah, they had this little cafe in there that said it was open to the public. I was tired and hungry, so I was like, why not? I'll stop in, see what it's like. And it was really peaceful. You know, people seemed really nice. There was a lot of sort of Yorkshire-related stuff in there, and I ended up having this, just a cheese toastie with a salad and some coleslaw. Very, very enjoyable, especially after you'd been walking for hours. And finally, here's the Oxfam. Very happy to see this. I haven't been to an Oxfam since I saw one in Lincoln in 2011, I believe. So it was very, very nice to, walk in and look around. You can see it's decently sized. They didn't have, the world's most incredible selection or anything, but, part of the reason I go into these things is for the hunt. You want to look around and, be surprised, find something you weren't expecting. I was kind of wending my way back towards the train station, but I figured I'd stop in on some charity shops along the way because they were all kind of in the same area. I went through this little sort of eatery section, lots of like sort of high-end restaurants, I guess. This was really, really sad. This is an old shop called Rare and Racy that used to sell used books, but they closed, I think, a year or two ago. And yeah, you can still see the storefront out here. I was really, really disappointed about that. But I made my way down this big sort of main street. You can see, the parks and the sculptures, benches and things. And there's some more graffiti at the end here. I was also very surprised to see a Taco Bell. I didn't realize Taco Bell had made its way into the UK. Didn't have any of it, so I have no idea how it compares. Yeah, here you can see that sort of big main road I was talking about. This is sort of, I guess you'd call this the high street, although I don't know if this is technically considered the high street, but it's pubs, darts, gastropub type things, restaurants, vintage clothes, like shopping type things. It was very bustling and actually pretty nice to walk through. And that led me into this area where they had another little Christmas market that I didn't even know about. So you can see, the slide there. They had this thing. I don't know what it's called. I just thought it looked interesting. And along the way, I ran into a W.H. Smith, so I decided, why not? I'll see what it's like. This was a pretty big one. It actually had 2 levels. The first level was just for more like, it was more of like a corner shop type stuff, drinks and coffee table books and, plushes, knickknacks, like not really book-related stuff. So I decided to go upstairs to the books, as you can see. And yeah, I just had a look around. It's a pretty typical W.H. Smith's, nothing to really differentiate it. Most of the same stuff that you could find at the W.H. Smith's back in Retford, but, with a larger selection, so I didn't end up coming away with anything from here, but still, it was cool to look around. And on my first charity shop, I ended up going through this small area. I can't remember what it was called. Yeah, it was this little area with all these tiny little corner shops and like sort of secondhand stores kind of bunched into it. And then I ended up stopping at the Cemeteries charity shop, which is for, people who are, suicidal and dealing with mental health and stuff, and had a look at some of their books. Just this one shelf, so not a whole lot to look through, but still nice to see. Just another old church. Again, I don't know the names of any of these churches, I just think they look cool. And I was filming this church because it was across from my next charity shop, which was this, Age UK. Another big brand that you see. I think there was one in Retford, and unfortunately they just had this little spinning rack of books, which made me a little sad, but they had a few interesting things, and I did come away with some stuff.
And as I was making my way back to the train station, I saw the old Lyceum Theater, and there was another theater next to it. I can't remember what it was called, but this is sort of the older theater. The other one was kind of the main theater. Ended up going through this pathway that I guess they're doing a bunch of construction here, some big expansions to one of the universities, I believe. And I made my way back to the train station, on my way home to Retford. It was a little nerve-wracking because I actually ended up almost missing the platform because I got confused. I ended up walking too far, but I made it on time, and I waited for the train to take me home. And Arron was actually there waiting for me, so he was able to get a shot of my train coming in. Alright, so I'm home from Sheffield. It was a really nice trip, although my feet are fucking killing me after walking around all day, but I found some good finds that I'm sure Arron will give me shit about, so...
The bag does look pretty heavy.
Yeah. But yeah, I had a good time, and yeah, God, I wish I could stay longer. So I realized once again that I didn't properly introduce these clips, but the next day we went to Newark to have a renewal of vows ceremony for Arron and his family. So this is just some shots of Newark for you to enjoy. We went to the Newark ruins, which are very famous. They used to be sort of the last hold, you know, of Nottingham. So lots of very wonderful history here. So yeah, just enjoy some shots of us wandering around the ruins. And then we made our way to the actual courthouse, whatever it's called, the county house, whatever it's called. And it was a very nice little area. Obviously, I didn't film any of the ceremony because, you know, private, but, you know, just very nice sort of Christmassy little setup. And then we made our way to the Ram, which was sort of the gastropub where we were having our dinner that night. As you can see, you know, it's very swanky, lots of wood and clean lines and stuff. So yeah, his nan was kind enough to buy us this meal. For the first course, we had this thing. I can't remember what it's called, some sort of pork aspic type thing, like a loaf. Very refreshing and cool. And then for my main, I had the bœuf bourguignon, which had this little potato slice thing that I actually liked more than the bœuf bourguignon, but still enjoyable. And for dessert, I had this lovely chocolate cake with, I think it was cherries of some sort, and a little scoop of ice cream. So all in all, really good day. We had some nice drinks and some good food, you know, made some good memories with family, and then we drove home. Alright, so it's Friday morning, and we're going back to Gainsborough once again to spend time with Graham and Lawrence and everybody. We're going to be spending Friday and Saturday there, so yeah, I will see you guys there. Alright, so here we are on the train to Gainsborough once more. You've probably seen this trip a million times, and you're probably going to see it another million times before the end of these vlogs, so just enjoy some of these pleasant shots of the landscape and of us wandering through Gainsborough, and as always, if I have anything interesting to add, then I will. apparently there was some kind of arson thing going around, enough that they had these signs up warning us about it, which Arron thought was very funny. And then we decided to go to Reed's once again. We came here a lot during the trip. This time I ended up having a wrap and some chips. I wanted something, a little lighter rather than a big, full English breakfast. And then we wandered around grabbing some supplies from Tesco before we went down to Crombie and Sarah's, getting toothbrushes and the like. And once at Crombie and Sarah's, we ended up having a really good time. Of course, I got some footage of Arron, Graham, and Lawrence being children, because that's what they are, playing tiddlywinks. And then we played Munchkin, which was a lot of fun. I think I'd only played it maybe once or twice before, but once I got a hang of the rules and everything, it was actually really enjoyable. We ended up doing a bunch of other things this night, but, I didn't film because I wanted to be present and in the moment. And, half the shit that these guys get up to I can't even film anyway, so there you go. Alright, so it's Friday morning. I didn't record much last night because I was just, enjoying my time with Graham and everybody. But yeah, we had a good time. We played some more Ninja Turtles. We messed around with some AI stuff. Just, dicking around like we used to do when we were young, younger, I should say. We're not that old yet, I hope. So yeah, I just had a good night. This morning we're probably going to meet up with Graham, get some breakfast, and then head back. So I'll see you guys in a bit. We spent the morning chilling with Crombie and Sarah for a bit. Played some games, or, I watched Crombie play some games, and, we chatted and everything, and Arron was dying.
You're filming me dying.
Yeah, I'm filming you dying. You enjoying yourself?
Yeah.
And then we met up with Graham that morning to have breakfast together. We ended up going to Tesco, where I had a tiny little carrot cake and then a halloumi burger, just something a little lighter. There was some old graffiti by the Tesco. You can see Grimm there, that's Graham, and Arron pointed out a few others. Apparently this is from 2002, when they were still in school, so crazy to still see this. So what's the name of that Harry Potter book you just said?
Disgusting Beasts and How to Fuck 'Em.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the correct title.
I was a little off, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
dying of brain rot, sorry.
Graham had to leave to go do something with his dad, so while Arron and I were waiting for our train, we decided to have a wander around Gainsborough and just look around, see some of the old sites. So yeah, just enjoy some of that. And Arron shared a few stories, and the ones that I can share on here, I will let you guys see. So yeah, enjoy.
So, remains of what was Middy's, my old school. It's now an estate.
So this used to be your old school.
Yeah, freeway. I used to cut down here to go. I believe the gate was. I could probably point out where the gate was. This lamppost here, in front of that.
This is the gate.
The gate to get out of school.
Which
No,
you,
that's important. It's the gate we used to run out of.
yeah, you used it often, I'm sure.
No, we used to kick the fencing down at the bottom. Get out that way, because we didn't like coming out this way, because all the knobheads used to sit here.
This is the old trail up from where Arron's old school used to be. You said there used to be like a whole park and stuff up here?
Park over here. This was all nice fields. You see behind the fence over there is, I don't know what it is now. I believe it was part of the school. We used to just go hang out back there. This is up the top of Scouts Hill. This is literally where my old house used to be. It was at the bottom of this hill. So we used to come up here every so often. Park back here, we did a lot of Asmation filming at, if you can explain the Asmation stuff if you want. But there used to be horses. There used to be like a little horse house here that was destroyed in the storm. Me and my friends used to come up and feed the horses carrots.
And then we slowly made our way home, stopping in an Aldi just to have a look around as we waited for our train. So yeah, just enjoy us traveling home. The next day, Arron and me and his mom and his sister decided to stop in at Lincoln because we wanted to go see his nan's grave and his sister's grave. A bit somber, but especially before Christmas, we just wanted to, it was a nice thing to do. And it was a very lovely cemetery, very peaceful, very quiet, rows and rows of graves. There's always something that I find very somber about cemeteries, but in a sort of peaceful way. It's almost like a sort of a memento mori kind of thing, I suppose. Being reminded of, what's to come, but enjoying the silence as well. So yeah, it was a nice day. And then afterward, we just decided to have a little walk through Lincoln just to, kind of see the sights. This is actually where Aaron's mom grew up, so she's kind of very familiar with the landscape, and there's a lot of memories here, and Lincoln, obviously, as most of England is a very, very old city, so there's lots of, interesting architecture and history, more of which I'll go into in the next vlog, because the week after this, we actually took a longer trip into Lincoln with Graham. But, we just had a look around, and we ended up stopping at this little cafe called Stokes, and they do a really good pasty. The eating area is this upstairs area that looks like an old Tudor house, with like this sort of like library theme, so of course I really enjoyed that. And then after that, Arron and I just walked around a bit while Hannah and his mom went shopping. We stopped at this little place called Eskimo Milkshakes, and I had a Terry's chocolate orange hot chocolate thing. It was delicious. Here's a nice shot of the riverside. And then we just made our way home. We ended up staying in this interesting parking structure that had this big face on the end of it. And then, surprisingly, as we drove home, there was this little free library that Hannah took us to inside of this old telephone box, so I had a quick look. Nothing super interesting, but still, it was just an interesting little roadside bookish curio. So let's get into the haul. Hey guys, we're up to the week 3 haul for all the books that I bought this week. For future reference, I'm filming all of these last few hauls on the last day before we leave, so they're all probably going to look the same lighting and everything. Apologies for that. I'm doing all this out of sequence because I've been putting all the filming off. It's been so crazy. But anyway, let's get into this haul for week 3. So first off, these first few were the ones I got in Sheffield. Most of them, except for the one that I'll talk about in a bit. But the ones in Sheffield, it was really cool. They had a lot of really cool stuff. I would have loved to have come away with tons more, but the prices were just too expensive. It was like 5 to 10 a pop. They clearly knew what they had, and it was priced accordingly, which sucked. But anyway, I found a bunch of stuff that I was looking for, including these Fontana Book of Ghost Stories. I have Volume 2 here, Fontana Book of Great Ghost Stories. These were all edited by Robert Aikman. I don't remember how far he went. I think he went up to 10, I believe, but I'll have to check. But yeah, so this is Volume 2. Wasn't able to find Volume 1 of either series, but this one has some pretty interesting ones. Yeah, Man Size in Marble by Edith Nesbit, which was recently adapted into a ghost story for Christmas for the BBC. Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar by Edgar Allan Poe. Robert Aikman's got one of his own stories in there. The Damned Thing by Ambrose Bierce, that's a classic, so should be good. Got the third volume here, third Fontana Book of Great Ghost Stories. I love these late 70s, early 80s covers. They're just so evocative and spooky. This one has stories like, let's see, Negotium Perambulans by E.F. Benson, The Beckoning Fair One by Oliver Onions, The Man Who Came Back by William Gerhardy, The Visiting Star by Robert Aikman. He always slipped one of his own stories in these collections, which I guess you could say that's a bit pompous, but Robert Aikman was a great writer, so... And we have Volume 4 here. I love this one. This one's really spooky. Look at that. And this one has stuff such as, let's see, The Sphinx Without a Secret by Oscar Wilde, The Queen of Spades by Alexander Pushkin, so translated from the Russian there, The Snow by Hugh Walpole, A School Story by M.R. James, that's a really creepy one, The Wolves of Chernogratz by Saki, a lot of really interesting ones. And it seems they have some longer ones as well, because this ends with a Mad Monkton by Wilkie Collins, which is like 50 pages long, so some novellas in there, so it should be interesting. And then this was the one that I got from the Little Free Library, which I was really shocked and excited about. Only one I've been able to find so far at the Little Free Library. This is the 5th volume. Unfortunately, it's not. This was a different edition from these later ones, so they don't have the same look, which is disappointing because I really like these covers. But still, happy to have that, especially because it was for free. And this has The Swords by Robert Aikman, which I've read before and is a really creepy, evocative story. But this also has stuff like The Library Window by Mrs. Oliphant, The Dancing Partner by Jerome K. Jerome, Jerry Bundler by W. W. Jacobs, The Great Return by Arthur Machen. So really excited to dig into these. As I say, unfortunately, I couldn't find the first volume of this series. Of course, it's probably going to be very collectible, which sucks, but I have a pretty good amount here. Similarly, they didn't have the first volume of either of this series, but I was still happy to find them. This is the second Pan Book of Horror Stories, selected by Herbert Van Thal. These Pan Book of Horror Stories are kind of in the same vein as the Fontana books. I love these, these old UK anthologies, horror anthologies. They're getting really hard to find, unfortunately, so I was really happy to find these. This one is from, when was this published? 1960. In fact, this is actually a pretty old printing, 1961 according to this. But this has some classic stories in here, like The Fly by George Langland, which was the basis for the films. There's some H.G. Wells, The Judge's House by Bram Stoker. There's even an Agatha Christie in here. So, it should be interesting. Black Cat by Edgar Allan Poe. So, yeah, some classic stories in there. And again, these are all these different edition, different publication dates, so it doesn't match the other ones. But this is the third Pan Book of Horror Stories, selected by Herbert Van Thal. This is 21 stories in this collection. Yeah, this printing is from 1970, so much, much later, but this was originally published in 1962. Yeah, there's Algernon Blackwood, Charles Birkin, Lord Dunsany, William Faulkner, interesting. Frank Belknap Long, some more Charles Birkin, some William Hope Hodgson, Edgar Allan Poe. Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar, so there's some crossover there. So yeah, just classic anthologies these. I would love to have a full collection of all of them, but it probably won't happen unless I get very, very, very lucky. But I am really happy to have these. Next I have, I think the rest of these are from just random, like the Oxfam and some random charity shops in Sheffield. I have a Masquerade by Terry Pratchett. This is sort of a fantasy, sort of a Discworld retelling of Phantom of the Opera, involving Granny Weatherwax, who's Discworld's most famous witch. Again, I just really love these UK covers. I think they look much, much nicer than the American ones. I'll put up the American one just so you guys can see how much better they are. These original covers by Josh Kirby. I love these. As I said in my previous videos, I would love to have a full collection of the UK editions of these. Don't know if that'll ever happen. Honestly, I haven't even properly sat down and read Discworld, so I don't even know if I like it. I mean, I'm sure I will based on everything I've read, but as I said in a previous video, I read The Color of Magic in high school, and I didn't like it that much, but that was a long time ago. I was 15, so it doesn't really mean anything. So yeah, but I'm just excited to dig into those. This is just a horror book that I found at Oxfam that looked interesting. This is The Devil Makes Three by Tori Bovalino. This just sounded interesting. It's about two students who stumble upon an ancient book hidden beneath their school library, and they release the devil from his book prison, and they have to figure out how to stop him. So, you know, that just sounds really weird and fun and interesting. So, you know, anything involving, like, you know, books and libraries and, you know, creatures hidden inside of them, I'm all about that, so looking forward to that. Then at a random charity shop for 99p, I found this is Stephen Fry's debut novel, The Liar. Stephen Fry, of course, is a very famous British actor, the former host of QI and all kinds of stuff. He's sort of a very, very much known for sort of like intellectual bent, his wordplay, things like that. I've heard a lot about his novels, but I haven't read any of them. I know he also wrote a book called I think it's just called Revenge, or The Tennis Player's Balls, and it's basically a retelling of Count of Monte Cristo, so I'll have to check that out at some point. But this is sort of a sort of autobiographical novel, sort of inspired by his life, and I think his attraction to like a young boy at school when he was growing up and stuff like that. There's actually a blurb back here from Hugh Laurie, where he says, "It's very unfair. It took Joseph Heller 7 years to write Catch-22. Stephen seems to have knocked this one off on a couple of wet Wednesday afternoons in Norfolk." So Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry, obviously they had a little bit of Fry and Laurie together. They did Jeeves and Wooster together, so very much that sort of dry British comic humor, you know, which I'm very into, so I'm sure that'll be good. And then finally, this again was just a random find in a charity shop. This is The Dark Portal, Book 1 of the Deptford Mice by Robin Jarvis. This is sort of a dark horror fantasy novel about mice fighting against these evil rats that worship this dark presence in the sewers of Deptford that's called Jupiter. It just sounded really weird and dark and creepy, and as I've said before, British and dark and creepy is my jam. I actually looked into this, and this was actually a fairly popular children's series back in the 80s and 90s, and Jim Henson, the Jim Henson Company, was actually planning to make a film of it a while back that never happened, which is unfortunate, but it sounds really weird and dark and creepy, and there's also some illustrations in this one, which is always cool, as you can see there. So yeah, looking forward to that. So yeah, that was this week's haul. Again, not as much as last time, but I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!